Hello friends, my name is Jess and welcome back to my channel, Books Past Bedtime. As I'm sure you know from the title and the thumbnail, we're going to be doing a gigantic book haul. So I haven't filmed a book haul in quite a long time. I'm not even sure when I filmed a book haul last, or talked about the books that I hauled. So I have, I think, 42 or 43 books here to talk to you about. So since I have so many to get through, let's just hop right into it, and I'm gonna try to just give like one sentence summaries for everything. I don't know how this is gonna go, but let's just hop right in. So I did kind of separate everything out. I have a stack of thrillers, I have a stack of contemporary books, and then I have a stack of fantasy sci-fi. This thriller stack here is definitely the tallest. So I have lots of thrillers to get through, and then I have an itty bitty stack of nonfiction and specialty books. I'm going to start off with the thrillers because that's the biggest pile here, and we're just going to go ahead and tackle it. I guess it's like thriller slash horror too, just as a note. The first book I have here on this pile is The House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. I've heard such good things about this book. I know this is an adult horror, and it's kind of like a haunted house story. And in this haunted house, I believe a teenage girl who is not allowed to go outside and a man who's an alcoholic live there along with their cat. Somebody moves in down the street, and I think suspicious things start to occur. I don't really know. I've heard such good things about this one, and it sounds so good and right up my alley. Can't wait to pick it up. Next, I found this book when I was up in Michigan with Manda, and she actually saw it for me, and it is a signed copy of the third book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. Now, have I read the second book? No, but I had to snap up this signed copy of this third one. I wasn't even sure if this was out yet in the US, so was super excited to find this one. Signed too. Basically, this series follows our main character, whose name is Pip, and in the first book, Pip decides to reinvestigate a cold case that was famous in her city. She believes the wrong person was apprehended, so she sets out to try and find the right person that committed the crime. And I think each book is kind of like a companion story in that she's solving a new mystery. Not sure what the second one or this one is about, so I will find out eventually though, because I absolutely loved the first one. I'm so excited about this. Another excellent find. This one is also a signed first edition copy, and that is White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. I read Grown earlier this year, which is another of Tiffany's books, and it was excellent, so I can't wait to dive into this one, and I am just so excited to have this signed copy. Like, that's so freaking cool. I believe this is another haunted house-esque story, and I believe our main character has some ghosts in her life that she's trying to run away from. This sounds excellent. This one honestly sounds the best to me of all of Tiffany's books so far. Really excited to pick it up. It sounds more classic horror thriller than some of her other ones. I don't know, I'm really excited for this one. I think it's going to be excellent, and the cover is beautiful. I just love the purple. Purple's like my favorite color. Next on my stack, these are in no particular order by the way, but I do have Velvet Was the Night by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Last year I really loved Mexican Gothic, so I'm excited to pick this one up. Caroline and I have been talking about buddy reading this one for like 3 months, and neither of us, I believe, have started it. So that lets you know how good we are at buddy reading, but that's okay. This is set in the 1970s in Mexico City, and we're following this girl who becomes, I think, kind of enamored with her roommate, or like apartment mate, neighbor, somebody who's really into like the protest scene, but she actually ends up going missing, so our main character is trying to figure out what happened to her. I've heard kind of mixed things about this one, but I feel like all of Sylvia Moreno Garcia's books have mixed reviews, so I really loved Mexican Gothic, and I am excited about this one and think it'll be good. So I'm a sucker for book of the month, so I have lots of book of the month books on this pile, and the first one I have here is We Were Never Here by Andrea Bartz. This is a story about these girls that go backpacking, I believe, in South America. Yeah, in Chile. One of the girls is like out and about, and then she comes back to the hotel room and finds her friend has brutally murdered this man. According to her, it's in self-defense. This isn't the first time that something like that's happened, so a little sketch. I think this one sounds so good. I haven't really heard a lot about it, but I'm excited to read it. I've been so into thrillers recently, so I can't wait to get through all of these on this stack. The next thriller I have here is When the Stars Go Dark by Paula McLean. In this book, we're following this woman who, she goes back home for some reason to kind of recenter herself, I believe, to where she grew up. And as soon as she gets back into town, this young girl goes missing, and it really reminds her of a similar case that happened when she was a child growing up of another young girl going missing. And I think she starts to look into it, trying to figure out what's going on. Again, I haven't heard a ton about this one. I think this one might be a little bit slower than some of the others on this stack, but I'm very interested in reading it. I love the blue color that this book of the month sticker thing is. So really excited about this one. I'm excited about all of these, but I don't know what else to say in conclusion. Next we have Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manasala. This is like a cozy mystery about this girl who moves home after she breaks up with her boyfriend. She has a dachshund, and I think she tries to save her aunt's restaurant as like a chef. I think something bad happens to her ex-boyfriend, who's also a food critic, and the cops treat her like she's the suspect, so she kind of has to figure out what's actually going on. I've heard good things about this one. I'm not a huge cozy mystery person. My grandma actually gifted me this one after she read it, so I'll see if I like it. I don't know. Next I have Lisa Jewell's Next, I have Lisa Jewell's latest release, The Night She Disappeared. This book follows two different timelines. One happened about a year ago where this young college girl goes missing. Then a year later, once the case has gone cold, they've never found out what happened to her. This professor or somebody from the university is like walking home and sees a tree, and on the tree is a sign that says dig here with an arrow pointing down. So I think it's somehow related to the case of this young girl going missing. Lisa Jewell's kind of hit or miss for me, maybe miss more times than hit, but I feel like her more recent releases have been better for me, so I have high hopes for this one, and I think it sounds really cool, so I'm excited. Next, we have The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I'm actually doing a Grady Hendrix reading vlog, so if you want to hear my thoughts on this book, definitely subscribe and keep your eye out for that. But basically, this is a thriller slash horror that follows this group. It's like a therapy group of final girls, and final girls are the last woman standing at the end of some kind of tragic incident, coined from like slasher films in the 80s, I believe. It's supposed to be like these real life final girls who all go to this therapy group together. They've been going for many years till they kind of decide to disband and bad things start happening. Our main character seems to be maybe like an unreliable narrator. I've heard mixed things about this one, that it's not quite as loved as some of Grady Hendrix's other books, but I'm still excited to give it a try. It sounds really cool, really fun. I'm excited to pick it up. Now, a couple of these I did talk about in my vlog where I went to NYC with a lot of my other bookish friends, and I featured the books that I hauled during that trip in that video, but I also want to talk about them here because nobody watched that video, so... And the first of which was gifted to me by my great friend Nidhi, and that is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. This is a psychological thriller with no description on the back, so I can't tell you what it's about. But apparently it's just wild and crazy. I think it takes place in like a day or something, like a really quick timeline. I've heard it just like people have no clue what the heck happened. I don't know. It sounds really cool and I can't wait to pick it up. Next is The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. I believe this was very kindly gifted to me by my friend Savannah, if I am not correct. I don't know where the little note is though. Pretty sure Savannah got this for me. This is basically a story about this young girl who lives in like a puritanical Salem, Massachusetts-esque town back in the day, back in the 1700s or 1800s, probably the 1800s because it's in America. Her mother was exiled or killed because she was believed to be a witch, and so our main character is really trying to stray away from any witchiness. But then she meets these 4 witches in the woods. She's drawn into the woods one night and meets them, and they give her the journal of her dead mother, and she kind of begins to think of her life a lot differently. You know, she really finds herself struggling with what kind of like side she wants to be on and what the truth is of what's going on in her town. I was supposed to read this book a long time ago, but I still have not. It sounds so good though. I think I would really love it, so hopefully I get to it sooner rather than later. The next book I have here is The Nothing Man by Catherine Ryan Howard. This was really kindly gifted to me by my friend Nat. Everyone who gifted me books, their channels will be linked down in the description, so definitely go follow them all. They're all amazing. But this book is about this serial killer called the Nothing Man. This girl, Eve, survived an attack by him. She was the only one in her family to survive this attack by him, and now that she's an adult, I believe maybe like repeat crimes are happening, so she's trying to figure out who the Nothing Man actually is. I think we're also following from the perspective of the Nothing Man, and he's getting nervous because she's getting close to figuring out who he is. So this sounds really cool. I'm excited to have the perspective of the killer as well in a book because I feel like that's not as common. And I think that'll be cool. I don't know how people feel about this book, but it sounds good to me and I'm excited to pick it up. Next, I'm not sure if it's like, I think it's a thriller, but I think it's kind of genre bending. But this was very kindly gifted to me for my birthday by Annie, and that is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones by Olga Tokarczuk. And this book follows this woman who lives in this Polish town where her neighbors are being discovered dead. She really believes she knows who did it, but no one will really listen to her or pay her any writing mind, so just gotta figure out what's going on. Annie really highly recommended this book, and I think it sounds so good. I'm super excited to pick it up. Next on my stack, I have Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This book follows this husband and wife whose marriage has kind of been on the rocks for a long time, but then they win this weekend getaway to Scotland, this snowy cabin in Scotland, and they go there with the intent to try and repair their marriage, but things are not exactly as they seem. They were kind of sent there for a reason, and shit starts to go down. So, heard mixed things about this one. I know my friend Jan loved it, and then I think my friend Manda didn't like it that much. I am a sucker for snowy, isolated setting thrillers though. Like, no matter how bad they are, I usually like them. So I feel like that bodes well for me with this book. Next on my stack, I have The Push by Ashley Audrain. I bought this book in my NYC vlog as well, and Kasey picked it for me to buy at the bookstore. So this is a psychological thriller about this woman who really struggles to be a mother, and she starts to believe that her child is actually insane, is actually crazy, and is a monster, but she's kind of an unreliable narrator. We don't exactly know if she just has like postpartum depression and can't form a connection with the child, or if the child is actually murderous. So I am actually halfway into this book. I was reading it during vacation and I just like got busy doing other things and put it down. I was really liking it, but it was also really freaking me out because I was like, what if this happens to me when I'm a mother? So I got kind of in my head about it. It's very like graphic too, which is uncomfortable to me, but so far it's really good. I just needed a little break from it, but I'm excited to jump back into it and see where it goes. It's wild, y'all. It's crazy. Next is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. This is Riley Sager's newest release. It came out in July, I believe. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. I've talked about this one a little bit on my channel, but I thought it was so fun. It's basically about our main character, Charlie, and Charlie's roommate and best friend in college got killed last semester, and Charlie's really just struggling with this because she feels a lot of guilt around it. She was out with her friend that night and left her there because she wanted to go home, so she kind of feels like it's partially her fault and is really struggling with that. She decides she wants to take this semester off and go home, and she agrees to get a ride from a complete stranger. Why? I don't know. You think you know where the story is going halfway through, and then you're just like, oh my god, I did not see that coming at all. There's like twist after twist after twist. I was on the edge of my seat. I loved this. It was like my perfect thriller. It was so good. Next, I have The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. This is a dark academia book set in Cambridge University in the UK. Follows our main character, Mariana. Mariana has a niece who goes to Cambridge, and Mariana's niece's friend ends up dead, and Mariana goes to Cambridge to be with her niece and kind of try and make sure she's okay, make sure she's safe. Turns out her niece knows more about it than Mariana expected, and she actually suspects that one of the professors in the school, who kind of has the secret society of female students who follow them around, wear white dresses, have secret tutoring sessions, you know, typical dark academia stuff, is actually the murderer. So the aunt and the niece kind of set out to try and figure out if this is actually what's going on or what's happening. This was a crazy twist at the end that I didn't necessarily love. I've already read this one and gave it 4 stars, but overall this was such a quick, fast read with some great fall vibes, so definitely would recommend. Next, I have Local Woman Missing by Mary 𝗙𝗵𝗂. This was gifted to me by my friend Caroline. Thank you, Caroline. I appreciate it so much. Caroline absolutely loved this book, so I'm so excited to pick it up. And it basically follows these disappearances of these girls in this town. I think like 4 of them go missing, and then the case goes cold. No one knows what happened to them, but then 11 years later, one of them shows back up, and I don't think she remembers what happened, but I think they kind of slowly start to piece it together, and it's really wild and crazy. This sounds really good. I love the cover of this book, so I think it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be really good. I'm so pumped. Next, I have Karen Slaughter's newest release. So excited about this one. It's called False Witness. In this book, we're following our main character, Lee, who is like a high-powered defense attorney in Atlanta. She has a 16-year-old daughter, and she gets called in to represent this defendant who is accused of R-wording like 20 women. Makes her confront her dark past. She has to call in her estranged sister. Lots of similar Karen Slaughter themes to her other books, but this one sounds really good. And I believe it's a standalone, so I'm excited about that because I haven't started any of her like detective series, but I mean, it's Karen Slaughter, it can't not be amazing. So, and then I believe my last thriller here is Hostage by Claire McIntosh. In this book, we're following a flight attendant. Her name is Mina. She is working a flight from London to Sydney, and she thinks it's just a normal day at work, but then she gets this note, and it said, these instructions will save your daughter's life. So I believe some kind of terrorist is holding her daughter hostage and is going to have her, I don't know, crash the plane or something. If you didn't know, I used to be a flight attendant, and I'm currently in training to be a flight attendant again. So I really And maybe it's morbid, but I really like stuff about planes. Being a flight attendant, there's been like 2 thrillers released recently similar to this. I'm just really excited about this. I think it sounds really good. The other one that came out recently, Falling, I can't remember who the author is, but the author of that one actually used to be a flight attendant, or still is. I don't know. But anyway, I thought that was really cool. I have started reading this one. I got it from 𝗙𝗵𝗲 through their ACL program, ALC program. Their ACL program. That's funny, but I haven't finished it yet. But it has a similar concept to this, except it's about the pilots and not the flight attendant. I think it'll be good. I don't know. Alright, what next? I'm gonna do my nonfiction and specialty books because I'm really excited about these. So when I was up in Michigan with Manda, I found these beautiful freaking editions of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen and Emma by Jane Austen, which are 2 of my all-time favorite books. Look at these guys. They're so pretty, and they have gilded edges. This one's silver and this one's gold. Oh my god, they're so beautiful. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm not really one to buy specialty books, but I could not purchase these. Like, don't they make you want to scream? I'm so excited. And like, Pride and Prejudice is genuinely one of my favorite books of all time. It's so good. If you haven't read it, even if you're afraid of classics, please read this book. It is so good. Jane Austen is like so timely and so humorous. Her books are so funny even now. I'm sure I don't really feel like talking about what they're about, but I'm sure you know, kind of, so. Anyway, and then I also picked up Cultish by Amanda Montell. This is on Noelle's recommendation. She's been raving about this book and I think it sounds so cool. It basically analyzes the reasons why people join cults, why so many things in our society are cult-like, the language around things and the way we talk about things, and how that normalizes this kind of like cult mentality and cult behavior. I think it sounds so freaking interesting. It's beautiful. This book cover is just incredible, so I had to have it. Noelle reads really smart books, so I feel like this will make me smarter. And then I also picked up Ace by Angela Chen. This is a nonfiction book just kind of going through the experiences of what being asexual is like in our society and what it reveals about how we as a society think about sex. And I think it sounds really cool. I heard about this from Daryan. I just feel like this will be a really good read for me especially, but for everyone who's interested. So I'm excited about this one as well. Alright, those are the nonfiction and specialty books that I had. So let's science fiction and fantasy book. The first one I have here is The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan Hay. I read this book when I read Annie's favorite book, so definitely check out that vlog if you want to hear my full thoughts. This book takes place in this sci-fi world. Well, they live on Earth, but it's like in the future, so they have very high advancements. They kind of live in these cloud cities off the surface of the Earth in order to prevent environmental destruction, and everyone in the society is ranked based on how much they contribute to conservation and saving the planet. This book follows our 2 sisters who are part of like the top tier family in this world. One sister, Cecilia, goes missing and her sister Kasey is determined to find her even though they didn't always see eye to eye. She needs to know what happened to her. So this book kind of follows their story. It takes a twist that you will never see coming. Maybe you will, I don't know. Maybe I'm just gullible, but I was shocked and this was really good. It hurt me a little bit, which is why I only gave it 4 stars and not 5, but I thought it was a really cool, unique book and definitely had a lot of value to it. I really liked this book a lot. Also, it's beautiful. I love the end papers too. Like, incredible. It's so pretty. What the heck? I think that's like a little cloud city. Alright, next I have A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. This one is also going to be featured in an upcoming reading vlog, so look out for that. This is a dark academia kind of fantasy book, I believe. Follows our main character Felicity, who attends this elite private school. And last year, Felicity and her girlfriend got into some trouble, and Felicity's girlfriend actually ended up dying. Felicity goes back to school the next year, determined to just kind of keep her head down, but she gets drawn into something she's not expecting. She is kind of like witchy. Witchcraft is pretty, it has historical significance in the school that they attend, and she gets kind of drawn back into the world of it, even though she believes that that's kind of what killed her girlfriend. So looking forward to this one. I've actually already started and it's pretty good so far, so I think it'll be good. And then, of course, I bought Chain of Iron when it was on sale at Barnes & Noble. Not read Chain of Gold yet, but I definitely plan to. This is following the children of Will and Tessa from The Internal Devices. I think that's right. So I'm not as excited about this one as I am about the next series. I've heard good things, so, and I am trash for Cassandra Clare, I'm sorry, but also they freaking damaged my book. Like Barnes & Noble, what the heck is up with that? I also have Pet by 𝗙𝗵𝗄𝗃. This was gifted to me for my birthday by Daryan. Thank you, Daryan. This is a middle grade fantasy. I'm not exactly sure how to explain what it's about. It takes place in this fantasy world, follows our main characters, Jam and Redemption. They've grown up learning that there are no monsters anymore, but then they meet Pet, who is a creature made of horns and colors and claws, who emerges from one of her mother's paintings. She must reconsider what she's been told. Pet has come to hunt a monster, and the shadow of something grim lurks in Redemption's house. Jam must fight not only to protect her best friend, but also to uncover the truth and answer the question, how do you save the world from monsters if no one will admit they exist? That sounds to me like, yeah, there is a review on the back that says, with great tenderness, Pet questions a society silenced by denial. That's exactly what I got from that description. So I think this has some social commentary, but it's middle grade, and I love 𝗙𝗵𝗄𝗃. All of their books that I've read so far I've absolutely loved. So I am super excited about this one, and I think it's going to be so good. It's also super short, so hopefully I can fly through it one day. The next book I have here is A Curse of Roses by Diana Pengucha. This book follows a woman who is the Princess of Portugal, I believe, and she is cursed in that anything she tries to eat turns into roses or something like that. So, okay, yeah, so she has this curse where all food she touches turns into flowers. So her country is starving, and she is not helping because every time she tries to eat, she just turns everything into flowers. She meets this girl who can help. She has some kind of magic abilities, but in order to break the curse, our main character must kiss her, and that would be committing treason as she's betrothed to the king. She's in a bit of a pickle. But this sounds really good. I've heard good things. I actually haven't heard a ton about it, but I think it will be right up my alley. I'm excited to pick that one up. I also have Witches Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart. This was kindly gifted to me by Amanda. Thank you so much. I love you. This book basically follows two witches, one who has been in prison forever and one who is royalty. It basically says enemies bent on revenge, an unlucky alliance, and one witch left standing. I believe this is like a Caribbean inspired fantasy. It's a beautiful book. I'm so excited to pick this one up, and I think I will love it. I've heard kind of mixed things, but I think it should be good. I'm excited. And then the last book in the fantasy section is We Free the Stars by 𝗏𝗡 𝗏𝗏, which is the second book in the We Hunt the Flame duology. I don't know if it has a separate name or not, but I've read this entire duology, and honestly I couldn't tell you what this is about. We're following our main character, 𝗏𝗏. She's a huntress, and 𝗓𝗓, who is the Prince of Death. He's the royal assassin. They are trying to restore magic to their world. It's really long and boring. I wouldn't recommend you buy this for yourself, but to each their own. So next, the final pile is just like contemporary books. There's a little bit of middle grade, a little bit of YA, and a little bit of adult stuff. So let's just jump right in. The first book was a gift from my cousin Abby. That is The Bridge by Bill Konigsberg. This is about two teens who meet on George Washington Bridge. They're both suicidal, about to commit suicide, but I think they meet and kind of help talk each other down. I think this is like an alternate reality story, and like they explore the different possibilities where one jumps and the other doesn't. They both jump or neither of them jumps. So I think we go through each of those scenarios potentially, and they do as well, and just deciding what's the best course of action. I'm not really sure. Sounds pretty good. I've read Bill Konigsberg in the past and really enjoyed their writing, and I'm a sucker for an emotional YA contemporary, so looking forward to that one. Might have put this one in the wrong category. This might actually be part thriller as well, but this is Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaughey. This follows these two sisters who go to Alaska to reintroduce these 14 wolves back into nature. I believe they're biologists of some sort. And then when they're there, a man turns up dead, and they know that the wolves are going to be blamed, so they kind of have to figure out who actually killed this man so their wolves don't get blamed. And then I think one of them is having a romance with the guy that's the main suspect, so I don't know. It sounds really good though. The next book I have here, I also hauled in my NYC vlog, but I'm going to talk about it again, and that is Switch by A.S. King. So in this story, this is like a YA, maybe even middle grade magical realism story, and in this world, time has completely stopped on June 3rd of 2020, and there are all of these people that are trying to figure out like how to get the world back in motion, I guess. And then our main character, their dad has this switch in their house that no one can touch. He like nails a box over secret every single day, and she's determined to find out what happens when she flips a switch, so she gets her girl bar. I have read A.S. King in the past, really enjoyed their writing, so I think this one sounds really cool, and it's super short, so I'm excited to pick this one up. And it's also a signed copy. Next, I also hauled in my NYC vlog, and that is This Is My America by Kim Johnson. I've heard excellent things about this book. It is a YA contemporary following this young girl whose father is on death row. She believes he is innocent and sets out to prove his innocence before the time runs out. So I have heard that this is like a very powerful, difficult read, and it addresses racism in America and police brutality, and particularly how biased the incarceration system in America is towards Black people. So this sounds like it's going to be a devastating read, but an important read, so I am very excited to pick this one up, hopefully sooner rather than later. And then here we also have Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was very kindly gifted to me by Kasey for my birthday. Thank you very much, Kasey. And this book basically follows 3 main characters who are all children of a famous rock star, and they throw one last party of the summer and things go awry. I think there's a fire. I think people end up dead. I've heard it's dramatic and excellent and as good as Taylor Jenkins Reid's can be, so I'm super excited to pick this one up. I can't believe I haven't already. I feel like this was such a summer read and I really missed out on my opportunity for that, but I'm sure it'll still be good any time of the year. Next, I have here The Summer of Impossibilities by Rachel Allen. This was kindly gifted to me by my friend Katie for my birthday. Thank you so much, Katie. I miss you a lot. This is a cute YA contemporary that takes place over the summer, and it follows, I think, 4 or 5, there's 4 people on the cover, so maybe 4 kids who are all, I think they're high school age, and they go spend a summer at their lake house with their moms who are friends. I think they've all been like childhood friends. I think drama ensues. It says, one can't wait, one would rather gnaw off her arm than hang out with them. 2 are sisters, 3 are currently feuding with their mothers, 1 is hiding how bad her joint pain has gotten, all of them are hiding something. 1 falls in love with a boy she thought she despised, 1 almost set her crush on fire with a flaming marshmallow, 1 has a crush that could change everything, and none of them are the same at the end of the summer. So this sounds like a fun summer YA contemporary, and I'm super excited to pick this one up. My stacks are getting a little precarious. I don't want to show you my messy room, just kidding. Next, I have We Were Promised Spotlights by Lindsay Sproul. This is a YA queer contemporary book. It follows our main character, Taylor, who is like homecoming queen. She's the most popular girl. Everyone thinks they have her completely figured out, that she'll end up with the homecoming king, get married to him, have 2 children, stay in their hometown, become a dental hygienist. You know the type. But what they don't know about Taylor is that she has a crush on her best friend, Susan. So I think this is probably like a coming of age story, her figuring out how she identifies and who she wants to be. I think this sounds good. I love a queer contemporary book, so excited about that one. I feel like that one was gifted to me, but I don't know where the note is. If you gifted me a book and I didn't say that you gifted me the book, I'm sorry, I'm just dumb. I really appreciate you. This book was also gifted to me by my friend Amanda. That is Spin With Me by Amy Polanski. This is a middle grade story, I believe, about these 2 kids who Essie is not excited about moving to a new town or a new school, but then she meets Ollie, who is non-binary, and they begin to have a mutual crush on one another. And I think Essie is moving back to her hometown or something. So their friendship, romance might be cut a little bit short. I've been talking so long I can't talk anymore, but this looks super cute and I love a middle grade, so I'm excited for that one as well. I'm almost done. This book was kindly gifted to me by my good friend Paige from the PM Reader. Thank you so much, Paige. I appreciate you so much. And that is King and the Dragonflies by Kasey Calendar. This is another middle grade story, and it's about grief and coming of age and identity. Follows our main character, King, who his brother, I think, recently died or went missing, and he thinks that Khalid turned into a dragonfly, and that he still visits his dreams and kind of helps him face the fact that he might be gay. So, like I said, I think the story is about coming to terms with your identity as well as grief. I think it's going to be really powerful. I am so excited to read this one. I think it's going to be touching and make me sob. So thank you so much, Paige, for getting me this one. I'm so excited to read it. The next book I have here is This Is How You Lose the Time War. And this, I think, is like a sapphic fantasy time travel book or something. I don't know what exactly this is about, but it was very kindly gifted to me by my friend Nicolee. Thank you so much, Nicolee. I love you and appreciate you so much. I'm I'm just gonna read the back to you. It says, in the ashes of a dying world, Red finds a letter marked burn before reading. So begins an unlikely correspondence between two rival agents in a war that stretches through the vast reaches of time and space. Red belongs to the agency, a post-singularity technotopia. Blue belongs to Garden, a single vast consciousness embedded in all organic matter. Their paths are bloody and their futures mutually exclusive. They have nothing in common save that they're the best and they're alone. Now what begins as a battlefield boast grows into a dangerous game, one both Red and Blue are determined to win, because winning's what you do in a war, isn't it? A tour de force collaboration, two powerhouse writers that spans the whole... Oh, I see. It's by Amal and Max Gladstone. I guess they alternate perspectives. I've heard this book's really confusing. I've actually tried to start it before on audio and been very confused, so I'm excited to have the physical copy because I believe that might be the only way I can figure it out. But I'm super excited. I've heard only good things. Sounds good. And then I got 2 books from the roomies. So the first of which is 𝗙𝗵𝗏 from Sajni Patel. This is a romance and it follows Leah is a very independent woman. She's a successful engineer and is happily single, but her parents want her to marry this man named Jay, so they set up this dinner with her. As soon as she figures out what's going on, she leaves. This is all well and good until this man Jay shows up at her work, and he is a lawyer. He's also infuriating. They have office banter, turns into late night chats, and they have a romance, and Leah starts to think maybe he is the one man that might truly accept her, but I think there's some conflict, of course, but this sounds really cute. I do love a contemporary romance every once in a while, so I think this one looks super cute, and I hopefully will enjoy it. Thank you so much, Christina Mo. And last, but certainly not least in my pile, I've been filming for an hour. Oh my god, but that is I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman, one of the only Alice Oseman books I haven't read yet. Basically, I think this book is about fan culture. It follows our main character Angel, who is obsessed with this pop rock trio of teenage boys called The Ark, and this fandom has given her everything. It's given her friendship, her place in the world, and then I think she ends up meeting one of the band members named Jimmy, and they're kind of like thrust together and they find out how strange and surprising facing up to reality can be. I think that sounds really good. I'm not always super into fan culture books, but I feel like if anyone's gonna get it, Alice Oseman is gonna get it, so I feel like this one will be good and I'm going to like it. I have not disliked any of her books, except for maybe Solitaire, but that was okay, you know? So super excited for this one. And I believe that is all the books that I've hauled recently. Hi Elvis, how are you doing? I think that's all the books that I've hauled in the last couple of months. It is quite a lot, but a lot of them were birthday gifts or purchased with birthday money or purchased on trips with other bookish friends. So that's the reason why I have so many books. My birthday was in August. So that's going to be all for me today. Definitely, again, go subscribe to everyone down below who sent me a book. They're all my very close friends. They all make great content. So definitely go check them out. And I think that's going to be all for me today. Definitely follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'd love to chat over there, and also subscribe to this channel and like this video if you liked it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.